after the World Trade Center attack, the therapists were nervous. The patients were frightened and nervous and didn't know what to say either. So very few people were interested in verbal therapy immediately. Very, very few.
St. Vincent's is the closest major trauma center to Ground Zero. I was assigned to a subacute ER in the hospital, and we had all this equipment, but very few patients coming through. It was really a firefighter who was in the subacute ER who was so distraught looking. I asked him, did he have anything that he wanted to say, and he didn't.
One of the concerns in the trauma field has been how to help people who actually avoid treatment. And one of the things is we had to try and figure out why they're avoiding treatment. And it's become clear that the major reason is that this is the group that re-experiences the trauma by even talking about what happened. So the last place they're going to want to go is talking to a therapist.
I was a psychiatric nurse. I was seeing that we really needed to be doing something different. And I did get permission from the medical director that evening to start ear acupuncture the next day. We were very busy. There were days that we were seeing up to 100 people. The counseling unit was right next to the ear acupuncture clinic, and they were seeing far fewer numbers of people. I think that's indicative of what it is that people were looking for. What was filling their need? They didn't want to talk.
This was able to help people without having to explore something that requires verbal trust, appropriate language, and a perspective to describe things that people didn't have. That was the problem. In trauma situation, you don't have trust. Western mental health doesn't work unless you have trust. You don't have perspective. You don't always have the language. Let's say you're not only traumatized, but your language is different than the dominant language. Why on earth should you be able to discuss this? And then furthermore, how many therapists do we have that are so good that they can work with you and whatever subgroup you belong to on the spur of the moment without any money in the middle of nowhere? Why should that be the case?
We simply put up signs that said stress reduction clinic and in parentheses said ear acupuncture. And what was interesting is many people came never having heard of ear acupuncture or understanding anything about why they would be coming for ear acupuncture. But it was clear to everybody why you might go to a stress reduction clinic. And it turned out to be very popular, not only with the staff, but for people in the community.
The object of the game for me and for the people that I work with is to reduce stress for firefighters. And we found that a very simple way to do that is acupuncture.
At the hospital, we already had ear acupuncture available for our clients in the addiction program. So it was a matter of just transferring that to people who would be experiencing traumatic symptoms after a huge disaster such as 9/11.
I have been a psychiatrist at Lincoln since 1969. We were always a little frustrated with the effects of methadone, and so in 1974 we read in the newspaper that acupuncture had been used by Dr. Wen in Hong Kong to help heroin addicts. Pretty soon we realized that we could actually run the entire program based on acupuncture, not on methadone.
We follow the protocol that's been set up by the National Acupuncture Detoxification Association, or NADA.
A simple protocol of 5 acupuncture points on the ear, referred to as the NADA protocol, has been found to be effective without side effects and easily taught to those providing services in healthcare settings. French, German, and Chinese doctors have identified acupuncture points on the ear that correspond to all the different points of the body. These points have demonstrated therapeutic effects on physical, mental, and emotional states.
When acupuncture started to be used after the 9/11 attack, for instance, we had always talked about it previously as being related to addiction problems because we didn't really have any venue to learn how it might be relatable.
It can help both acute anxiety and insomnia without using sedatives and allow somebody to integrate what's going on in a more natural way.
So I went and tried it out myself. I left the old tool building that they had acupuncture. I had some kind of massage. I don't know what I think I had Reiki, but I don't know what that is. But I had that, and I drove home to Long Island, and driving home I thought about it. I said, I don't really feel any different. And when I got home I had dinner and I said, I still don't really feel any different. And then it showed up later on. That week I slept 5 nights, and it was the first 5-night sleep I've had since September 10th, 2001. So there's no question in my mind, this is good stuff. I have no clue. I don't know how it works. I have a vague idea how it works. It's not important for me to find that out. I just know this is what it did for me.
One of the advantages of the ear acupuncture in our setting was that it was done at a community hospital. It's done in a large open setting, and that's very helpful. It's not done in a quiet room. You don't know what the therapist is going to do. St. Vincent's was well known to people who live in the area, and the fact that they were offering stress reduction kind of in a non-medical setting, I think drew a lot of people who weren't interested either in psychotherapy or medications.
The World Trade Center Healing Services was created after September 11th in order to meet the needs of the downtown community. The name of the clinic is the Integrative Stress Management Program. In addition to the ear acupuncture, the other modalities that we offer are energy work, such as Reiki and reconnective Jo-Ray energy work. Massage. We offer sound healing. Ruth Cunningham is a sound healing practitioner, and she plays the harp, the flute, and she uses her voice to create beautiful, relaxing sounds. We have a suite of offices downtown, a block from Ground Zero, and 2 afternoons a week during lunchtime, we offer ear acupuncture to people in the financial district who are still dealing with the aftermath of September 11th, and they come in to receive ear acupuncture and counseling. And if they don't want to deal with counseling, they don't have to. In the meantime, we can provide them something like ear acupuncture. We also had 4 clinics in the high schools that border Ground Zero. So we were able to go in and provide ear acupuncture services to the employees, particularly the teachers, who dealt with a lot during that period after 9/11. In addition, after the Staten Island ferry accident, we were able to start a clinic at St. Vincent's in Staten Island.
So we were hoping at St. Vincent's that we could combine Eastern practices with Western holistic healing. People in the Chinese community feel like they know ear acupuncture. I'm sorry, not ear acupuncture, but acupuncture, which is with our culture for 5,000 years. There are a whole bunch of people that haven't had acupuncture, but are open to the idea of having it because it's familiar. We came to the American Legion. Some of the veterans still have the post-traumatic stress syndrome, and they're still having nightmares now. And these are people who are, in their 60s and in their 70s. And so we wanted to reach out to also service this population.
I'm Officer Chan with New York City Correction Department. And of course, a correction officer, we work inside detention and a sentence facility, which means, yes, we work inside the jail. And of course, the stress level in there is tremendously high. And we have to deal with situations like life and death situation all the time. And utilizing the ear acupuncture is actually helping me to decrease my anxiety and my stress and from day-to-day operation inside the jail.
It's using their own healing methods. So they're proud to come for ear acupuncture because, oh, this is my culture.
In the fall of 2005, staff from the hospital was sent down to central Louisiana And it worked really nicely with the medical team. The evacuees in parking lots who were seeing the medical team for physical problems, some of them were getting ear acupuncture in sort of our parking lot waiting area before they saw the doctor. It was good.
One of the important things after a crisis of any nature is to be able to calm down enough to sleep. And without sleep, we've always known in psychiatry, 3 or 4 days of no sleep, everybody is at risk for acute psychosis. We did questionnaires early on, like what brought you here, what did you experience? It was sort of just basic feedback. And the overriding comments was that people felt calmer and more able to cope. And if you think about it, that really is the goal. And it's both of those things, not just being calmer. If the goal was just to be calmer, you know, sedatives would be useful. But we know sedatives are not useful because people don't feel increasingly prepared to cope. It diminishes the ability to cope and to reintegrate what's going on. So there's something probably unique about ear acupuncture and other mind-body interventions in that what they're really doing is somehow balancing both the ability to be calm and yet alert and prepared. In Chinese medicine, one way I've heard it spoken about is after crisis, the qi scatters. And one question is, how do you help the qi reestablish itself? And that's really, I think, what we're calling regulation, affect and mood, modulation, all these kind of terms. It's really sort of where the future of psychiatry is going. How do you help people modulate affect? Medications are easier, right? Being able to take a medication daily that really does help modulate affect is very useful, but the medicines are very expensive, and a lot of people aren't interested in medications. But what you then have to have are tools that are readily available.
The good thing about this system, it's not only easy to use, but it's easy to teach people how to do this. Of all the things you're going to teach people in crisis, this is close to the safest you could possibly do.
It's interesting because now I'm just starting to work with a couple of fire department clinicians on programs for returning veterans from Iraq. And the more we work in the program, the more I see an opportunity for us to use acupuncture for some of these guys to reduce the stress that they've had.
Trauma happens all over, and you can't possibly have expensive trauma help intervene. Something like ear acupuncture, which is so simple and so inexpensive, can travel where the trauma occurs. St. Vincent's ended up in dialogues with the Red Cross, partly because of how many clients we were serving in the ear acupuncture clinic. I think that the ear acupuncture actually could have a major role in preventive medical health. One of the things we know, say the cardiologists increasingly talk about, is how stress impacts cardiac health. Things like hypertension, high cholesterol, heart disease basically. So if you have a simple tool that actually helps stress reduction, why not use it for medical problems as well?